This is thank you. This is the November 3rd, 2025 meeting of the Woodstock Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency. We start with a roll call.
Marla Butts.
Kathleen Barrett.
Stuart Peasley.
And Bill Rowinski. And Mark Parker is not logged in yet. All right, action on the minutes of the previous meeting, the regular meeting. Oh, sorry, appointment of alternates. We have no alternates to appoint. Action on the minutes of the previous meeting, regular meeting of October 6th, 2025. Does anybody have any comments or corrections?
Just there was a spelling correction on 7C. Loose was spelled Loose. And I had one other question. I don't know what the acronym for WEO is.
That would be Wetlands Enforcement Officer. That's me.
Okay. I thought we were a wetlands agent.
Oh,
Mhm.
I don't know what to tell you.
We went through a whole, Bill, isn't that correct? We went through a whole review and approval of the wetlands enforcement agent.
Well, the discussion was that we'd have to change, I think, the regulations to change the name of the, from Wetlands Agency to Wetlands Commission. That was one of the things. I'm not sure that the agent was part of that. We have technically designated wetlands agents in the past, but I'm not sure on what terms John was hired or what title he might have been hired for. Do you have that on your signature, Wetlands Enforcement Officer?
That's a good question. I honestly, if there is an important distinction to be understood, I do not know it. On my signature, I think I'm listed as zoning officer, wetlands officer. But
Yes.
you know, if it matters, please tell me why, and we'd be happy to change it.
Okay, so when we voted to appoint you, we appointed you as our agent, wetlands agent. So for the purposes of our minutes, you should be identified as the wetlands agent, because the wetlands agent does more than enforcement. The wetlands agent can issue wetlands agent approvals and can issue send out legal notices. So you are our agent, and it includes more than just an enforcement.
Okay. I'm also the zoning enforcement officer, and I do a lot more than enforcement there too. I'm not sure really that the distinction is necessary, but I'm happy to change it.
It's probably because in the zoning regulations, they refer to you as a zoning enforcement officer. In the wetlands regulations, it's referred to as wetlands agent.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I do have some comments.
Distinction without a difference, I imagine, but sure.
I do have some comments regarding the minutes from last month's meeting, even though I wasn't there. I have viewed and listened to the YouTube recording. By the way, the recording that link that is in the minutes is non-functional. It is not the correct link. The correct link to the meeting is longer than that. It looks like it got cut off. When I tried to go through that link that was in the minutes, I couldn't get to the meeting recording, but I subscribed to Woodstock's YouTube channel, so I was able to locate the recording, but without my subscription, the recording was difficult to find. I can suggest what the correct YouTube change should be. It should be https:// www.youtube.com// YOUTUBE.com /WATCH G for capital A NUMOO N dash lowercase c ampersand lowercase t =660 lowercase s. That's the correct link.
My God,
Could you
it's
That was
no
the
wonder
first-
you couldn't find it.
Could you repeat that, please?
Sure. You're
No,
sure you want me to
just-
repeat it?
Just kidding.
He wants to
All
take
right.
a nap.
So the second comment that I have, it was under item 6A. If you could go scroll to the screen to 6A. Application 08-25-01. That's 37 Phelps Road, George F. Place, Irrevocable Trust. The minutes state, and I quote, "The property is owned by George Place Irrevocable Trust with Russell Barber as executor," end of quote. The power of attorney that was provided in the posted documents was entered into by Mr. Place on June 7th, 2023, granting Mr. Barber the authority to establish an inter vivos trust. According to the internet, an inter vivos trust is also called a living trust. It's a legal arrangement created during a person's lifetime to hold assets for the benefit of specified beneficiaries. The person who created the trust, that is the grantor or settlor, transfers assets to it, and the trustee manages those assets while they are alive. This type of trust can either be revocable or irrevocable and serves the purposes such as avoiding probate, providing for incapacity, and managing assets after death. That power of attorney that Mr. Barber had would have terminated upon Mr. Place's death. So Mr. Barber would have had to have transferred the property to the living trust before Mr. Place died. Mark stated at the wetlands meeting of September that he had buried Mr. Place a month earlier. While Mr. Barber did have a power of attorney while Mr. Place was alive, there was no evidence presented to show that such a trust, which was in fact created, and the property was transferred to the trust before Mr. Place died. No evidence or statement provided during the October meeting substantiates that the land is owned by the George Place Irrevocable Trust. Therefore, I recommend replacing the first two paragraphs with the following language. The applicant, Russell Barber, has submitted a signed and notarized power of attorney, granting him the authority to create a living trust. Chair Rewinski stated he did not find any evidence of the trust in the land records, to which Gutowski stated that sometimes in a probate situation, such filings can take a little time, and he was satisfied that Mr. Barber had the rights to submit the application on the behalf of the trust. I would move that the language that I just stated be replacing the first two paragraphs in item 6A.
Six A from last month, not this month, right?
It's on your screen right now. The first two paragraphs, the one starting with the previous delay, and the second paragraph, the applicant Russell Barber. The current writing of the minutes states that George Irrevocable Place Trust is the owner and Russell Barber is executor. The commission had no evidence of that in the record. However, they did have communication with Agent Gutowski that sometimes it's a probate situation and that such filings can take time. I'm not going to second guess whether or not there is actually a deed that just didn't get filed, But I do think the record should clearly state that there was nothing in the minutes, in the recording or in the documents that were submitted that the trust actually owned that property, and that in fact a trust had actually been created. Mr. Barber had the authority to create a trust while Mr. Place was alive. But once he died, if no trust had been created prior to his death, then none could have been created. So we really don't know, but the commission has approved the timber harvest. So I think the minutes should accurately reflect what happened at the meeting. And there was no stated conclusion that the trust owned the land as stated in the minutes.
So should we look for him to bring a document that proves those two things you said? First of all, that the trust was created, and secondly, that, and even since Mr. Place died, Russell Barber's authority just ends in that case.
Well, only if he did not create the trust. If he created
Right.
the trust one, it would be fine. But no, I don't think you can go back and redo the decision. You can't go back and say, no, we want further information. You have made the decision. You've passed the timber harvest, which is a use permitted as of right, and you granted it to George F. Place Irrevocable Trust in care of Russell Barber. If there are issues that come up after that, there will be, my recommendation is that you have nothing in your regulation, in your minutes, that state that the commission has taken a position that the trust owns the land, because it had no evidence of that.
So we don't want to ask for any documentation retrospectively. So we're okay.
Too late. It's
Well-
really it's really the concern of the timber harvester. If they decide to harvest and then if no trust was created and the heirs, successors, and assigns of Mr. Place have an issue with that, then that's a legal matter. That's not for us
between
to
them,
decide.
yeah. Okay.
Bill, can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So, can you hear me?
Hi, Mark. We
Yeah,
can hear you.
yeah.
Okay. So, yeah,
Yeah.
procedurally though, I mean, the minutes are accurate to what was actually spoken last month. So my suggestion is that we either insert the modification, with the heading of, Marla Butts did further, detailed investigation, blah, 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 and
Yep.
then insert it, or maybe just enter it in tonight's minutes, addressing it. But this accurately describes what we said at the meeting, so
No, it
it's
does
like,
not. Mark,
No?
it does not. I listen, since I wasn't at the meeting, I carefully listened to the recording and I watched it. And there was nowhere did it say the property is owned by George Place Irrevocable Trust. All that was said was that the questions were given to Agent Gutowski, and he stated that sometimes a probate situation exists, such filings can take a little time, and he was satisfied. And it was based on his comments of being satisfied that he had the rights to submit the application on behalf of the trust, but there was no mention of saying that there was a statement that the trust owned the property, just that Mr. Barber had the right to submit the application for the trust.
so how did this wording get in there?
I don't know.
I think
I
it
think
would
you
have to
all
go in
assume-
tonight. Doesn't it have to go in tonight's meeting as an update or addition or something?
I have placed a motion. Requesting that the first two paragraphs be replaced with the following language. The applicant,
I don't
Russell
think you
Barber.
can do that once it's written,
Yes,
can you? You
yes.
can?
This is where we adjust our minutes. This is where we make corrections. And
Right.
I'm asking for a correction, but there's no second to it. So if there gets no second, then the minutes won't be changed.
Oh, I'll second
I-
it. I think we've got to do something with it. I just want to be sure that it's everybody's comfortable with it. I guess this is the first time I've come up against this. Usually when I have minutes or doing minutes, if there's something to be added or changed, it gets put on the next, tonight, basically, minutes, and it says that this change was made, or this was found to be an error, or whatever.
That's what I'm asking. I'm
Okay.
asking that the first two paragraphs be replaced with the following. In fact, I make a motion, I'll do it again. I
Yep.
move that the first two paragraphs in item 6A of the October Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency minutes be replaced with the following paragraph. The applicant, Russell Barber, has submitted a signed and notarized power of attorney granting him the authority to create a living trust. Chair Ruinski stated he did not find any evidence of the trust in the land records, to which Agent Katowski stated that sometimes in a probate situation, such filings can take a little time, and he was satisfied that Mr. Barber had rights to submit the application on behalf of the trust. That is my motion.
Okay, so it's been
I
made and
second it. I think-
seconded, yeah.
Yep.
Now, still under discussion, I'm still, so the second paragraph here, the applicant Russell Barber has since submitted notarized and signed documentation shared by Guskowski granting Mr. Barber power of attorney from the trust. Now, John, did you put that in there? Because
No.
did this happen in the last month, since last month's meeting?
No.
No?
What we
That
put in
was
was,
a
as
document.
Marla said, we put in the power of attorney. That was in fact, I guess, a living power of attorney. That gave Mr. Barber the authority to control elements of his father's estate while his father was still alive. That's what we were presented. So yeah, Marla, everything Marla says is factually correct.
Well, it says that Russell Barber is the executor. So once Mr. Place died, his will or his executor, or you have to have a will with the trust.
Right, but the trust hadn't settled completely,
Right.
or at least
So,
as far as
but-
town records were concerned.
But since he was the executor at the moment
How do you
Mr.
know that?
died,
You
well,
don't know
because it says the
No,
property is
that's the
owned
power of
by.
attorney.
Power of
That's just
attorney, yes, power of attorney is granted to Mr. Barber while Mr.
Place.
George
Place.
Place was alive. Once he passed, then he became executor.
Well, that's what he said. Now, I don't know if anybody has actually seen the paperwork on that, but to give him the benefit of the doubt, he would still be in control of the property as the executor. And
That's not what
I
that
don't
says.
know.
He says he's the executor of the irrevocable trust, not the
Right.
executor of the estate. So
Well, the trust is the owner.
No,
and
it is not. There is nothing on the land records that states
Okay, well,
that the trust.
that's different,
owns
right?
the land.
Well, guys, I think we ought to leave this as it is and move on and put the paragraph that Marla suggested in tonight's minutes. I mean, we can put, I don't know how if you want to do this, but put something in there that there was some confusion about what was in the previous minutes of the previous meeting. I don't know, we don't have to specify, I don't think. But I'm not sure what the tradition has been here.
I have a motion on the table. You have seconded.
You seconded
The
it, right?
question is whether or not the rest of the commission, whether the commission as a whole wants to replace the first two paragraphs and have these minutes for this meeting reflect that the first two paragraphs were replaced with the paragraph that I stated in the motion.
Yeah. I'm still the last sentence of the second paragraph. It was agreed that the submitted documents are sufficient proof that Mr. Barber has the legal right to submit the application on behalf of the trust. And then we voted on it. I made the motion, blah, blah, blah. So that did happen. So I'm thinking that part at least should still stay in there. Because
Okay,
that's,
then would you prefer me to amend my motion to say that the paragraph 1 be deleted?
Yes.
Okay, I'll withdraw my original motion, and I will replace it with, I move that paragraph 1 of item 6A of the October Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Agency minutes be stricken.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's confusing about this, and I'm sorry, my brain just doesn't remember everything that was said, but it does say, and I'm having trouble reading it, that Mr. Barber has the legal right to submit the application on behalf of the trust, but we never saw anything that showed that he had the legal right. Did he show anything? I don't remember him showing anything that said he was either the executor or that he had any kind of right to.
It's my understanding that you took John Gosiewski's comments that he was satisfied that Mr. Barber had the rights to submit the application on behalf of the trust, and you
Right.
accepted that.
Yes.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. No, yes, we did. I remember.
Well, I mean, I don't know how much we discussed it, but yeah, I mean, I think probably we did. Bill, you don't have anything you want to say about this?
So I did made a revised motion to delete the first paragraph in item 6A of the October minutes. I wasn't clear that if you seconded that, Kathy, or if
Yes,
somebody else did.
I will second it, yes.
Okay.
And we're going to leave the second one as it is?
Mhm. Yes,
Okay.
I'm not making,
Yeah, well, I don't think it's that colossal of a request and all, but I think it does prove to us that we do need to have better documentation when people are doing things like this. I mean,
property ownership is really important, and particularly after somebody dies, there can be an argument within the family as to what assets belong to who, based upon what the will was,
right.
and depending on the assets that the person has. So we have to be very careful when we grant authorizations and indicate who's an owner and who's not an owner. We have to use the land records as the basis for the information that we have, unless there's some other documentation, like a court judgment that says otherwise.
Okay, would that be in the land records too? Don't they have to file that with us?
Following a court judgment, there would be a filing on the land records.
Okay,
So there's nothing there. There's still nothing there for the irrevocable trust.
right. Okay, well, like I said, that's kind of a learning thing. I mean, that we need to ask. If he says, yes, I'm the executor, okay, where's your paper? If he says, yes, the property was owned by the George Place Irrevocable Trust, show me something that legally tells you that. So I don't know, I guess you're going to be stuck with this, John, but having dealt with trusts in other situations, yeah, you got to use the right verbiage. I'm sorry, Marla, go ahead.
It doesn't change the action of the commission. The commission has
Right.
granted an approval for timber harvest, regardless of who owns the property or regardless of who the heirs, successors, and signs are. There has
Right.
been an approval granted. If somebody wants to take issue with that, they can appeal it to court, or they could have appealed it to court.
Okay, well, so do we want to put that in tonight's?
No,
No, okay.
no,
No.
my motion is just to delete the first paragraph, which talks
Okay.
about ownership.
Yeah, and insert your new, yeah.
Okay.
Nope.
I'm good with that.
My motion was just to delete the first paragraph,
Oh,
and that's
okay.
it.
Oh, okay, all
Yep.
right. All right.
So what we need is a vote from the commission, from the rest of the,
Mhm.
Right,
Co-chair.
unless Bill or Stuart have any further thoughts on the discussion.
I'm
Where's
good.
Is Stuart here?
Yes,
I think,
He's worse than I am. Gee.
Marla's original motion to replace both of them was,
There he is.
is a better legal position to put us in. And that removing both of those paragraphs, um, and replacing it with the Marla's suggestion is a better statement.
That was just for the first paragraph, though. She didn't have anything she wanted to change in the second paragraph, right, Marla? That was,
Originally, I wanted both paragraphs gone and replaced with the paragraphs I suggested, but I withdrew
Okay.
that application after
Right.
discussion with Mark Parker, what Mark said. So I think it can work just as fine as long as there's no statement as to who owned the property or not.
okay. So it is
Okay,
just for the
so-
first paragraph, Stuart.
Yes, okay, so it generally says similar things in the second paragraph as Marla's motion. It's not exactly the same thing, but in a general way, it's relative, so. We have a motion just on this one particular item, 6A, and motion made by Marla Butt, seconded by Kathy Barrick. We strike the first paragraph on 6A from the minutes of October 6, 2025 Wetlands meeting with the town of Woodstock. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Any abstentions?
I
So the
abstain,
motion passes.
but
okay.
it still
I
passes.
have-
I abstain.
I have one other comment on the minutes. The third item in 7A. Don, if you could scroll to that on the screen share. It's application 09-25-03, 11 Laurel Hill Road. In the motion, I would replace the word accept with approve so that it reads Peasley motioned and Barak second to approve the application.
okay. A little more just for my edification. What do you see as the difference? I mean, I know what the difference is, but I'm wondering what your,
Well, there's
Accepting
two
is like
definitions.
receipt of application, really.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
say
there's
it again, John?
I would interpret it as I agree with Marla's differentiation. Accepting is usually we receive this application for consideration, and approving
Okay.
is yes, you may do the proposed activity.
Okay, approved. Okay, gotcha. Yep, that's
Technically, there's two definitions for the term accept, but it has been our common practice to use the word approve when we're granting a license, granting an approval. We don't use the word accept.
gotcha. Okay,
And we can usually do that when we're doing, and when we're approving an as of right, non-regulated application. But if it was
Okay.
one that was gonna need a permit, then we would have accepted it so that the decision could be made this month.
okay,
The difference is that you're accepting an application and granting an approval. An application then goes through a process of review and either denial or approval.
okay. Perfect sense.
That's all I had.
Okay, is there any other corrections or modifications to the
Oh.
minutes?
Do we need a motion to change that, or just the fact that, I mean, did you make a motion to change that, Marla?
We're just discussing a general edit
Okay,
to the
yep,
whole, to all the other discussion for the minutes only. We enumerated that 6A as a particular thing and focused on that, voted on that separately. So any other changes or revisions to the minutes in general that anybody would like to suggest or further enumerate? Okay, we would entertain a motion to accept the minutes with the revisions. The YouTube
So moved.
address. That was Marla.
That was me. So moved
Okay.
to accept the minutes with modifications noted and motioned.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Marla Butt, seconded by Stuart Peasley to accept the minutes with the modifications discussed and the motion on 6A that we approved. Is there any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? The motion passes unanimously.
Bill?
Okay, well,
Bill, before you move on, because I came in during the discussion of the minutes of last month's meeting, why don't you officially, for tonight's record, say that I joined the meeting? Because you already did the roll call, right? And I wasn't there,
Yes.
so, yeah.
yes, Mark Parker joined the meeting at 7:17 approximately PM. John, I did not state the time at the start of the meeting. I don't know if you caught it.
No, it was about 7 minutes after, but I'm not positive.
Okay. We'll go with that. It was somewhere around there. All right, next item on the agenda is citizens' comments. This is be time for any citizen to comment on something that is not generally on the agenda for this evening, and this is tended to be a time for comments to be brief in nature also. Is there anyone who would like to comment on anything specific at this time? Or general?
If I may, I have a comment on the agenda under 6A, pending applications. The application number should be 09-25-04 because the 10-2501 was the Woodstock Academy's request to renew its approval. And all the documents that were posted that listed the 10-25-01 relating to John Napolitano, I'm not going to pronounce it right, for the 27 Napolitano. Those are also incorrectly identified, and those should also be stated as 09-25-04. That is the application number.
Okay,
And
thank you, Marla.
I did have one question for John. What happened to application 10-25-02? Between October and November, I see the 10-25-01, and this agenda has a 10-25-03, but I have found no 10-25-02 in any of the documents.
It's a good question. I will have to look at their system on
Okay.
what the gap was.
Okay.
Are any other citizens' comments at this time? Okay, we're moving on to pending applications, 6A, and the correct number would be 09-25-04, 27 Loyola Road, John Napolitano, proposed repair of lakefront wall. The original submissions for the paperwork for permit were submitted last month, but they are not posted with the documents for this meeting. So my question is Mr. Napolitano here? Is anybody representing Mr. Napolitano?
The documents are
question is-
there. I,
Yeah.
there, I believe they're posted. I'm not sure what additional documents you're looking for.
I'm looking to see if there's, well, the application, I didn't find it when I first looked at it. The,
That's because the number is wrong.
okay,
Just
Uh,
the O2?
I'm wondering if he has approval from the Quonset Lake District for this work. Because this would be on altering their bed also. The application says, or his narrative says, where did I see it?
It's on screen right now.
The picture says 10 feet. But it looks like he said 10 to 12 inches in the way he described it there. There's someplace else that says 10 feet. Where was it? I forget where I see it. I'm sorry, I'm not finding it.
I think the
Um,
indication was 10 to 12 feet. I think he may have just used the wrong number of, well,
One of the, Bill, one of the things that I found missing, there's no detail on the construction of this wall. Typically, when we've had
Yeah.
walls at the water's edge, we've had a cross-section of how the wall is going to be built. I'd like to screen share a drawing that I think would be perfectly applicable to this property. If I might show the other commission, and that John could perhaps forward it to Mr. Napolitano. Would you have any objection to me screen sharing?
No, go ahead.
That's a great idea.
Okay, let me see if I can share. Click share. Okay, click this. Can you see that?
yep.
Okay. This I found on the internet. I thought it was for Mr. Napolitano because he was talking about a block wall. This shows the amount of crushed rock that must be put in behind the wall. It shows the footing, how deep to go. It shows the setbacks that Mark had talked about at the last meeting, about stepping it back so that it doesn't fall forward as easily. This one also includes a reinforcement pin because the property owner, let me just say it that way. The property owner said that this was built 15, 20 years ago and it failed, and he's expecting it to fail again in another 15 to 20 years. And maybe that's because it wasn't properly built in the first place. So I'm suggesting that this, since he's not here to describe how he's going to build the wall, I didn't get a lot of detail. And typically we have a drawing that shows a cross section of how deep the footing is and that kind of thing. But this might be appropriate to send to him for consideration at next month's meeting. He still will have enough time to do some of the work while the lake is down, because they won't be filling up the lake, but he might, beginning of December, we're probably not into frost yet, but I don't know how the other people feel. I don't think we have enough information about how that wall is going to get rebuilt. We have a picture. Let me stop screen sharing. Is that okay? And
Yep.
you can share the diagram. Okay. All right. Then you can show the diagram that he supplied in a photograph that he had in his application. Because his photograph shows a block wall, and you can see that it was stepped back slightly, but it's also failing towards the lake, which implies to me there's forces behind that lake. Maybe they're hydrostatic from frozen ground conditions. Maybe he doesn't have enough drainage behind it to allow for the free release of water from behind it during frozen ground conditions.
I've got to step in and make a suggestion. Every drawing like you just showed is a rendering. of
Mhm,
a generic nature.
mhm,
And each case we have is not generic. It has to be specific.
mhm,
In this case, just like you're talking about, we've got some condition which is putting a lateral load on that wall.
mhm,
We don't know what that
mhm.
is. It's not in our purview. We do not have the jurisdiction to tell somebody what they can or should or try. That's not our, we're stepping into liable issues. We have liability for something like that. It has to go to an engineer, a licensed engineer. So we're
I would
really,
agree.
really got to be careful about what we say and do here.
Do you remember, did he say he was going to do this wall by himself, or did he have somebody that was going to do it?
And he
I,
couldn't do it by himself. That's a hefty operation.
yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, we've had people that have tried it.
Yeah, but the results are not going to be. You've got to really deal with licensed contractors and licensed professionals. My suggestion.
Well, look,
In
go ahead, Marla.
I was going to say, in the past, we have, when I dealt with these in Thompson, I always said that if a wall could fail into a water course, meaning into a lake or a stream, if it were to fail into it, then it should be, the design should be done by an engineer. If the wall was set back from the edge of the water and its failure wouldn't fall into the water course, then you wouldn't necessarily need an engineer because it wouldn't be adversely affecting the water course. Here, if the wall falls into the water course, it does adversely affect the water course. And
that
so,
makes sense. However, I'll just interrupt you and say, you don't know, unless you're doing construction administration and how it's built, you're not going to know which way it falls. So,
but we don't have to prove this application at all.
No, I'm just saying
I mean,
generically, in general, just to really, at a certain point, when there are so many open questions, it should be a determination at this point to say, we've got to have a licensed engineer give us a drawing for that structural condition. Because this is structural, it may not cause harm to anyone or anything, but if it does, like you say, if it's questionable as to which way it's going to fail, you know, this is a big issue.
Well,
I think go ahead, Kathy.
I can offer observational knowledge of how it's going to fail, because there's a couple of them on our lake, and this one looks pretty much like what happens is that top layer of dirt is for some reason, and usually it's because of pressure from the dirt, the way the stones are separating, it can't go backwards onto the dirt. It's going to have to go into the lake if there's enough pressure on it. And this is not the lake at its height. It does get a little higher than this. So,
I'm just speaking as a professional in what I do in my profession. Structural concerns have to be taken very seriously.
yeah, I think you're right, Stuart. And that's why, I mean, Marla suggested that we offer him that picture, which I think is great. You
It's
know,
not though. It's not. That's what I'm objecting to.
I know. Well, that's
It's
Marla
generic.
suggested. We
It's
have to
generic,
bring
and we
him,
have to know what the soils. We have to do a soils testing. There's a lot. There's a lot that has to be considered, and
so are we
I
gonna
think
blow
that
him out of
this
the
commission,
water? Or?
this agency is not qualified to do that.
No, you're right, Stuart. But what I'm saying is, I agree that what Marla said is that we need to get him. We need something to kind of say to him, look, this is a sample. you need to do this. You need to get an engineer. You need to get,
Yeah.
you know, all the other things that you said.
We have to have a stamped sealed drawing.
Okay. All right. Well, then we don't. I mean,
Yeah, we just can't go to the internet and pull a detail. There's thousands of details. Beautiful. And I thought about doing this before and I held back because of the liability issue. We cannot become designers structurally or landscape or any other kind that's associated with what we do because we're just not licensed for that. We just do review
So,
and approve.
Stuart, let me ask you a question, Stuart. If
Yeah.
this wall were not capable of failing into the lake, but was in the upland review area, would you still require a professional engineer to do the design work?
For us, no. We could
Okay.
suggest it. We could suggest it, but we should not provide detailing to anyone. Period. We can say, hey, look, go on the internet if you want to, but we're not
Yeah.
gonna do that.
I
okay,
agree with you.
message received. I
Go
think,
ahead, Bart.
I tend to probably be less rigid about this just from lack of experience, but I
Well-
see what you're saying, you know, I mean,
Mark
Okay.
is looking to
John,
speak.
when was this application received? What was the statutory, since it's in the water, the receipt date would have been September?
Yeah.
What's the
It's
application
stamped
number?
October 1st.
Okay, so we still have another month. So Mr.
October 1st.
Yeah, so would the
Yeah.
procedurally, would we table this? With the request that we get, more information from Mr. Napolitano and the engineering report, et cetera? Is that procedurally what we should do? We table it?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think we should table it and have them advise Mr. Napolitano that he needs to have an engineer do the design for the wall and come
Yeah,
up with a
I make that motion.
design.
I make that motion.
So, second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mark Parker, second by Marla Butts to table application number 09-25-04 for 27 Loyola Road, map 6393, block 65, lot 96, John Napolitano.
Bill,
Proposed repair.
the agenda I'm looking at says 10-25.
yeah, 1025, yep.
There was one more point that Mark said, that you were saying, is that he be advised that he needs an engineer to do a design for the wall.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
That's correct. I didn't get that far, sorry.
And yes, but Marla found that, we had the incorrect, application number because it was actually 09-2504. So
Okay, good. All right.
I think that correction was made. Correct, Marla? Is that?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, any
So
further
it's a-
discussion?
So I'm sorry, the guidance is the motion is you're tabling and you're presumably directing me to advise Mr. Napolitano to recommend an
No,
engineer?
he needs an engineer. If he wants to get an approval for this wall,
Uh-huh.
he needs to have an engineer to do a design for the wall and
Okay.
have a design submitted as part of the application. The
Very well.
alternative is that if he doesn't submit an engineered plan, we will most likely, at least I know from my standpoint, recommend denial of the application.
Mhm.
And I don't know that he can get an engineer to go out and do the design work in 30 days.
Doubtful.
Okay, any further discussion? So the motion is tabling this motion and instructing Mr. Napolitano for engineering. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Okay, the motion passes.
So are we also going to say that the agenda is wrong? Does it matter that the number, the 102501 is different than what we had on the
Already been
previous?
stated.
Does it
It's already been stated.
I'm sorry?
Bill identified the correct application number. It's already been stated
Okay.
that it's incorrect on the on the agenda.
Okay,
I did that during citizens'
Yeah, we
comments.
corrected that Yeah, we did correct that, so, okay, moving on to application 10-25-06, 1041 Route 169, map 5130, block 25. Sorry, wrong one. Map 5130, block 29 to 43D, lot 12. And Ambert and SFH and Upland Review Area. New single-family home.
So, Bill, there was a question during the last meeting as to what the actual date of receipt for this application would be. And according to section 8-7D subparagraph C of the statutes, the date of receipt of an application shall be the day of the next regularly scheduled meeting of the agency, immediately following the date of submission of such agency. Consequently, in order to be statutorily received, it would have had to have been submitted on the prior Thursday, and therefore its statutory receipt date would be tonight. This is not just for the benefit of the agency members, but also for the public who would have an opportunity to review. Second, the GIS identifies two separate properties. There's one property that's listed in the agenda, speaks to 1041 Route 169. That is not the property of the application. You'll see on the site plan in the lower portion, it talks about lot 9. And in the application form, it speaks to the address as being 1050 Route 169. And it is map 5130, block 29. Excuse me, I take that back. That's not the correct number. The correct number is, hold on a second. Correct citation is for 1050 Route 169. The parcel ID is 51 block, map 5130, block 30, lot 9. And that is the property. It's hard to tell from the drawing because it appears that the access is coming from County Road, because you see the north arrow. It is not coming from 169. And it's unclear to me whether or not there's wetlands for the remainder of the driveway as it approaches County Road.
So the Ambergs own two pieces of land. Their house,
Yes.
their address is 1050.
Right.
That's
but
why
the application-
Ann Amberg, and the application is for the lot across the street, which they also
Right.
own.
Right. But the
Which
application
fronts
clearly
on
states-
county and Route 169.
Correct. But the
I'm Nick
application
Lato.
form itself, right, states that it's 1050, not the 1041 as the agenda states. So this application is for 1050 169.
To clear up any confusion, I'm the builder working with them. They live at 1041 and where they will be building is at 1050.
Who are you?
Nick
Who are you?
Lato,
Who's speaking?
Nick
Okay.
Lato, I'm the builder working with them.
Okay.
I think it was just a mistake getting the addresses mixed up on the application.
No, the application was correct. It's wrong on the agenda.
Okay. But yeah, to clear up any confusion, they live at 1041
Mm-hmm.
where we're building is 1050.
So what is missing is this lot is fairly large, but where the house is going to go is located, if I can screen share again, would that be possible?
Go ahead.
All right, let me call it up. Hold on. This is 1096. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you, but
Okay. Okay. Let me show you a picture of it. Okay, now I can screen share. Hold on a second. I had to call it up first. Okay, because I can't put screen share. Let's try again. Okay, there we go. Share that. Can you see that?
yeah, now we see it.
Okay, so it looks like, can you see my cursor?
Yes.
No?
It's a little,
Okay.
Cross.
it's a little
Yeah,
cross.
it's a little,
Yeah.
little cross. So it looks like the house is going in somewhere over here, and the driveway is going up this way.
Wait.
But when you
Now
look-
I can't see it. Now I can't see it. Where? Oh, there you are. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I see it.
So the wetlands were delineated by a soil scientist, but they stop before they get to County Road. So if I'll stop screen sharing, because now if John, you could pull up the drawing. I'll stop. Pull up the drawing if you could, John. Okay. You see where the driveway heads north, and it goes right off the map heading towards County Road. What I don't know is whether or not the soil scientist, and it doesn't say on the drawing, whether or not the soil scientist checked the rest of the property to make sure that the new driveway doesn't have any other wetlands that are there. This looks like a drawing designed for the health department.
So there is an existing gravel driveway from County Road that's connecting to.
Okay. So that
Yeah.
should show up on,
And so on that map that you showed us, the driveway and house location that's shown on the
Yep.
site plan is farther away from what's shown on the GIS map for wetlands where you had your cursor.
yeah, well, we know those aren't accurate. They're just for general purposes. So it just gives you an indication whether they need to worry
Yeah.
about it or not. So I didn't know if the soil, so they don't show all of the activities. You're saying there's not going to be any grading work beyond the tree line? Into the tree
Well,
line?
there will be, there is an existing gravel driveway there. We're probably going to keep the grade more or less the same. I can't tell you if it's exactly going to be the same. But yeah, so there is an existing gravel driveway there from County Road.
Mm.
Yeah, I live on County Road, and I drive by it quite often, and yes, I can confirm that there is an existing gravel drive already there. I don't think they're really going to need to do any much more work. They might add a little bit to the top and just make it nice and smooth. I don't know, but right now it's fine. It's there.
Yeah, that was my thoughts. We may top it, with something. So,
When you've driven by, Mark, did you get any indication whether or not there's any wetness on that driveway, or is it pretty dry
No.
all the time? When
No, it's dry. It's dry all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so they technically should have shown all the activity that was going to go on and how it gained access to County Road, but no, let me just see something here. I had some other questions. All right, so since it's being submitted, technically being received today, we can't act on it today, technically? But I don't see any other problems with it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Um,
Procedurally, would you be allowed to assign it to staff?
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem, but I'm just taking what Mark has to say regarding the driveway. And Mark's familiar with the area, so I would rely on his judgment on that.
Yeah.
So in that case, it could be processed as a wetlands agent approval. I don't know how anybody else feels.
I think that makes sense.
Mark, that's the one that was cut through the woods?
Yes. It
Okay.
cuts through the woods and then there's a big field up above it. So,
Okay,
yeah, they're gonna be
Yeah, I
in
don't
the
have-
field. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I would be okay, because they have silt fence or erosion control devices.
Yeah.
With their pipe going under near the wetlands. So I don't have any problem with that. Would
I
somebody
move that
care to make,
application. That's gonna do that. I move that application 10-25-06 for 1050 Route 169, map 5130, block 30, lot 9, be processed as a wetlands agent approval.
Second, Stuart Peaslee.
okay, we have motion by Amala, but second by Stuart Peasley to, I guess we're saying approve, sorry,
Process is
Marla, I'm
wetlands
forgetting the
agent
word.
approval. Process is wetlands agent approval.
Process application 10-25-06 as a wetlands agent approval. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? The motion
Kathy?
passes.
Kathy, are you there? I didn't hear Kathy. Maybe she's muted.
Am I missing her? I don't see her anymore.
I don't see her.
Huh,
She seems to have dropped off.
okay.
Okay, well, the motion passes and we'll move on to new applications.
So Kathy's noted dropped off at 8:07.
Yep. So new applications, application 10-25-04, 45 Center Cemetery Road, map 5130, block 25, lot 01, Kristen Kaiser for timber harvest.
Good evening. This is Chris Cassidy. I'm a certified forester here in the state of Connecticut. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, here before you tonight on behalf of Kristen and Chuck Kaiser, seeking a jurisdictional ruling that this selective timber harvest is permitted as use of right. Hope you had a chance to review the documents there. Greg Cassidy is the forester on this job who set it up. It's an NRCS funded project. The main objective is to get rid of the ash. Mostly a downhill skid, roadside landing on county road, and really no wetlands impact at all for this project. So I guess we can field some questions. And I do apologize, I'm on the road. I was on the agenda at the Chester Inland Wetlands Commission tonight and got a jurisdictional ruling down there. So this will be a twofer.
Okay.
And I'm just about to pull into my driveway in Suffield. So it almost timed out perfectly.
Very good.
So I noticed that your yarding area is close to the brook. How far away do you figure that is from the brook?
Yeah, it does look
Near-
close on the map, Marla, but it's
Yeah,
it's all of 100 feet. I mean, it's not
okay.
the way it's pitched. You know, it kind of slopes the county road at that point, not necessarily to the brook. So
Yep.
where the header is the least of my concerns for erosion coming down that hill. But there is, you
Yeah,
know,
kind of.
put the skid row bed with good water bars and make sure that we don't have any erosion concern heading towards that river.
I move to approve application 10-25-04, 45 Center Cemetery Road, map 5130, block 25, lot 1, for Christine Kaiser for timber harvest as a use permitted as of right under agriculture.
Second.
Okay, we have motion by Marla Butts, seconded by Mark Parker to process, is
To approve,
approve the timber harvest as use permitted as of right for agriculture for application 10-25-04, 45 Center Cemetery Road. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So the motion passes.
Thank you.
Yep,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Moving on to application 10-25-03, 55 Crooked Trail, map 5787, block 34, lot 111W, Peter Flaherty, reconstruction of retaining wall.
Hi, good evening. Pete Flaherty here. I'm also represented with Philip Riley, who's the owner of R&R Excavation. I had bought 55 Crooked Trail back a year and a half ago or so. And we're looking to improve the landscape leading down to the water area. It's kind of a 45-degree slope. Previous owners really probably didn't care a whole lot about the waterfront and clearing some area. So we're taking this opportunity to be able to kind of give us a better beach experience. And Phil Riley has presented to the board here in detail exactly what will happen over the next month or two. And I'm going to go silent here for a moment and listen to any questions you may have. And I can't probably answer all of them, but Phil is here and he can.
It's a lot, that narrative there that talks about it.
It will be under a 6-foot wall, and we talked to the building department to make sure that we didn't have to go through them. So we checked that off our to-do list as well.
Marla Butts speaking. I'm having trouble understanding exactly what's going on using the drawing that came with the application. That is found on page 3, I think it is, of the application. Yeah. Are you planning on building a wall at the water's edge?
It will be 20 feet from the water.
Okay, so the work that's actually in the water, item 6, for the beach sand.
Yes.
You have to-
I'm sorry. Ask me that question again.
Item 6.
Yeah.
That's talking about the excavation. Is that in the water? Is that in the body of
No.
the lake?
No, it's prior to the lake. It's before the lake to be able to actually put a chair in the sand.
Okay, this drawing's not really good enough for me to understand. There is a map that's on file on the land records. It's a boundary survey. Map 2689. I don't have a copy that I can screen share with, but you can this does not show me where, it doesn't really well identify, because it looks like it's in the water, where item 6 is. From the, see, you've got it looking like it's in the water. So I think if you use the boundary survey that as the diagram showing where all the different features are, I would feel much more comfortable, because if you are actually touching the edge of the high water mark of the lake, if you're going beyond that at all, you'd have to have approval from the Witches Woods Lake Association. But I can't tell from the drawing that you gave us. It appears as though item 6 is in the water.
No, no, it doesn't. The 6 is prior to. I use that boundary just for that reason. It does look, you're right. No, you're right. You're right. I'm looking at physically, the boundary doesn't represent the water line. That 6 to
Correct.
us does not represent in the water. That was my mistake there, probably.
All right, Philip
Well, you're
Riley
using
speaking
it-
here. It's my understanding that these GIS maps are often not exactly on point, but yeah, we're not going to be excavating. So, I mean, going based off of where that line is, you know, he's just using it as a method of marking, but you know, these GIS maps aren't exactly on point. There was a tree that was there where number 6 is, and that has since been removed, and it's going to go just to the left of that tree. So if you're looking at number 6, it's going to go just to the left of number 6, really. Yeah, right in there.
The text box number 6. Yeah.
Yeah, so according to the boundary survey map that's on file on the land records, the shoreline is actually curved, so that the north side of the property boundary is much longer than the south side of the property boundary. So I would have no problem granting the approvals for the work that's excluding item 6. And that if he comes back with a new application for item 6, using the boundary map that's on file, showing specifically the area in relation to the accurate property boundary lines that are on the boundary survey that's filed, I'd have no problem understanding what's going on then. But I have a problem with item 6 as it's shown on the drawing. All the other stuff I don't have a problem with. That's all in the upland review area, and it's a use permitted as, in my opinion, is a use permitted as a right for maintenance and enjoyment of a residential home. But I don't know in your sequence of construction whether you have to do 6 first before you do the other stuff. Do you have to do 6 first before you do the other stuff? Before they build the retaining walls?
It
Bill,
would
if I
be,
could an-
it's
Go
hard
ahead.
to get equipment in and out of there. So it would be much more effective and efficient to do it, you know, right along with each other.
Okay. So there's another way you could approach it, and I'll see if the commission how it feels about it. That could be processed as a wetlands agent approval if the agent is given a diagram showing the activities to clearly be outside of the Witches Woods Lake using the survey. But then there is a cost involved, a $95 application fee. But I wouldn't have any problem having it processed as a wetlands agent approval, as long as the map uses the survey boundary map showing the location of the proposed activities. Because that boundary map actually shows the house, shows the deck, and this was done and was received, it was filed July 16th, 2025. So it's a very, very recent property boundary map that was filed. And it's a perfect map for using as the base map for an application. But I have a problem with approving item 6 as under this application as a use permitted as a right. That way it wouldn't get held up.
Marla and everybody, I'm sorry, I have been off of the connection with all you guys. I have no idea what happened. My computer just blew me off and I had to try to figure out how to get back in, but I am here now.
Glad you're back.
We're back in at 8:19. Okay.
What are we
So,
talking
Miss,
about?
so
we're
Miss Butts,
talking-
what you're asking for is just a more detailed diagram of number 6 text box, like where the beach is gonna go.
A more accurate diagram using the survey, the boundary survey that was filed on the land records in July of this year.
Okay. All right.
It is interesting though, July of this year, it's still showing all those trees that were there. We actually had those cut down. Oh, go ahead. So I'm sorry.
No, the property boundary doesn't show any trees. The map that's on file that was filed in July does
Oh.
not show, it's a survey map. It was done by Archer Surveying.
Yeah, that we had hired them. Exactly.
Yeah, what you have here is a screenshot of the GIS map,
Okay.
and that's not real accurate as to property boundaries. So using the map that you had the survey work done as your base map
Yeah.
is better.
Okay. So if we were to come in and talk to John and Lisa and kind of work out what is acceptable in the next week, that would be
Yes, well, it
acceptable.
depends on what the rest of the commission says.
I understand. But does that stop us from starting this effort? Yeah.
Only if you do it as a wetlands agent approval. You don't have to. John can process a wetlands agent approval. If the commission agrees, if the agency agrees, I'm suggesting as one of the members that this would be an option to get you going faster because the lake's going to be drawn down soon, and you want to do this work when the lake is drawn down because it makes it easier to put up erosion and sediment controls if you need them. So how does Bill? I think the rest of the commission has to weigh in on how they think it should be processed best for them.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. I'm okay with the wetlands agent approval, providing there's no activity below the high water mark.
Yeah, I'm looking at the anyway, that number 6, that's a 20-foot by 20-foot excavated sand area, right? That has nothing to do with the retaining walls because
No.
I'm looking, there's an existing retaining wall, number 1, right next to the house. The new retaining wall that you're proposing to build looks like it's about, what, 10, 15 feet out from, number 2 is the 40-foot long new retaining wall. That's clearly well out of, yeah, right, so. And then number 4, 17, okay, number 5, 20 feet from the new retaining wall to the water. Okay, yeah, all right, so, okay. Yeah, so
Number
Marla, Marla was concerned with the sand that's going to be put in, right? You want that to be separate from this application, Marla? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, that was one option, but he's saying that he really because John, if you could screen share the GIS of this lot with the topo turned on, because I don't think the commission understands how steep that slope is. You turn on the contours.
Very
40
steep.
45 degrees is steep.
Yeah. See how steep it is?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think having a clear identification as to where that excavation area and placement of sand is going to be, I think becomes important because it is so steep. If you're placing sand on a steep slope, or you're not flattening it and putting some kind of retaining wall upslope from it so that you don't end up having rain wash the sand right out into the lake. It's pretty steep. So I think those are the issues that John would have to be looking at as long as no work was in the lake itself.
Right, okay.
So I think if John could get an adequate drawing showing the where the item number 6 is, and he could actually have all, in the retaining wall and all that other stuff on that application, it could be processed much quicker as a wetlands agent approval than it could be revising this application for use permitted as of right, which would not get approved until next month.
Right.
Oh,
Okay, so
somebody
it,
like, go ahead.
it sounds like this is Pete, that I have to work with Phil Riley to kind of get the next piece of information to you folks. But until we do,
Oh,
until we get that, we still then would be bound by meeting again next month, December 3rd, or whatever the date may be. Is that accurate?
If
No.
you didn't submit it as an individual application,
Mm-hmm.
meaning a wetlands agent approval application, which John can process without waiting for the next meeting.
Oh, okay.
So Ms.
So
Buds,
he
what
has
you're
to be
saying
down.
is that
It's
we,
kind of a contingent recommendation by the
yeah,
agency.
so the beachy area would be a contingency versus we could, if we get approved, we would be allowed to work on the retaining wall.
Yeah, you could
Okay.
get it. I'd be willing to approve your use permit as of right for the retaining walls, but exclude item 6, and that you would have to submit a separate request, either for use permitted as of right with a better drawing, or as a wetlands agent approval with a better drawing.
so
How do you
we have,
want to do it? How would you prefer to do it?
Are you asking me?
Yes,
Oh, I didn't realize. I apologize.
that's okay.
What you said works for me. If that is what allows us to get the ball rolling on this project, then that is the most preferable method of travel for us.
And
So,
if I would just make a comment, that last part, number 6, would actually be Phil and I, this being Pete, we're looking to get the wall built, and that number 6 would actually, Phil, if I'm correct, we'd be doing that comes next spring, right?
That's correct.
So it gives us time.
Yeah.
So then you would come back with so I guess what you're suggesting is that we could approve this as a use permit as of right for items excluding item 6, which you would have to come back with a better drawing for item 6.
I agree with that comment. Phil, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
so I move to approve, let's see, which one are we on? We're on, okay. I move to approve application 10-25-03, 55 Crooked Trail for Peter Flaherty, map 5787, block 34, lot 111W, for the reconstruction of a retaining wall, accepting that item 6 as shown on the drawing is not approved as a use permitted as of right under maintenance and enjoyment of a residential home, and that such activity described in item 6, including a 20 by 20 foot excavated sand area, be submitted as a separate application at a later date.
Second.
okay, we have a motion by Marla Butt, seconded by Mark Parker to approve as use permitted as of right, items 1 through 5 for Peter Flaherty, and accepting item number 6, the beach, for paperwork to be submitted at a later date, to put it in a general sense. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain?
I
Okay, the
think
motion passes.
I'm gonna abstain, Bill,
Okay,
since I didn't
Okay.
hear the whole discussion.
okay. All right, well, the motion still passes. So,
Thank you, board.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, you're welcome. Moving on to application 10-25-05 Green Road, map 5703, block 04, lot 16A, for Donna Lamy, 2-lot subdivision. And I believe Daniel is probably here for that application.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Evening, Daniel. Yes.
Yes,
All right. Thank you, everyone. For the record, Daniel Blanchette, civil engineer, surveyor. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant, Donna LeMay, who's proposing to subdivide her property at 306 Green Road. Donna owns about 17 acres, and she would like to cut off 11 acres for her son to build a new single-family dwelling. Now, if you look at the picture in front of you, you see there's wetlands located on the north and west side of any proposed construction. The wetland soils were delineated by Rick Zulik in June of this year. If we could scroll down to the next page, please. There we go. We have the site plan. And so you can see the house, the septic system is outside the upland review area. We did our best to stay away as far as possible from any wetlands. The only work within the upland review area is really erosion control and a little bit of grading. It's a pretty straightforward project, I think. I would be happy to answer any questions. Yeah.
Daniel, Marla Butts here. Why did the soil scientists look at the rest of the property for delineation? Your first drawing, that if you scroll up to the first page, the lot does continue to, that would be to the west?
Yes.
No, to the north. To the north.
To the north, yeah.
And did he explore any of the areas there north of where, because I see there's an old driveway that goes across the wetlands. Did he look to see if there's any other wetlands up in there?
No, ma'am. Nope.
Is there a reason why he didn't look at those areas also?
The applicant wanted to build a house closer to the road, so his driveway is not too far back. You'll also notice at the site plan, there's a lot of ledge on this property. Our septic system, is basically 0 inches into grade. And so we were trying to stay as far away as possible from the wetlands and also any ledge that would affect the septic system. And that's how we arrived at the currently proposed location.
Okay, so when you go to so you don't think that there's any further wetlands that's on that property?
I'm not really sure, but they would be much further than 100 feet from any proposed construction or disturbance.
But if it's a subdivision and they decided they wanted to do work up in there, there would be no documentation as to whether there were wetlands there or not. That's all I'm thinking. John, could you turn on the topography?
Yep. I mean, any other additional work beyond what was approved, with the proposed location of the subdivision would require additional.
Come to her, man.
Yep, hang on.
Come to her. Yep, sorry. Okay, so see there's something coming down, looks like a potential water flow coming out of the north. See the V? Not that one. That's not the V. That's the V. And it looks like there could be an unmapped water course. Now it says on the drawing that the wetlands begin at a spring. The soil science report says something about wetlands flag number, 47, I think it was. It says there on the note, you've got a wetlands agent report that came with this application. And let's see, where he describes the delineation. Yes, the soil scientist reports attached to the application. And he said something about a spring exists at wetlands flag WB45, feeding the westerly flowing wetland area. Poorly drained soils were saturated and very poorly drained soils were ponded. An old logging road crosses the wetlands with 2 culverts serving as access to the rear of the property. But when you look at the topography for the lot on the GIS, it looks like there could have been an intermittent water course that came down from the north, right there. And that's what I was wondering, whether or not the soil scientist examined that area too. But you're saying because he's not proposing anything there, any activities, that's why he wouldn't have flagged that. Is that correct?
Yep.
For future reference, though, for subdivisions, it'd be one thing if it was a pre-existing lot, but for subdivisions, because this has to go to planning and zoning, one of the recommendations that I would make to planning and zoning that the entire property be flagged for wetlands if any exist. So if he only did the southern half and didn't do the northern half, because it's a subdivision, I would probably be asking that whatever notification we give to the Planning and Zoning Commission regarding this subdivision, that and this is not a subdivision for a lot of record, is it? Is this a free split?
No.
No, it's a subdivision.
Okay, so we have our approval ends up being a recommendation to Planning and Zoning Commission. So I think what I would probably say, I have no problem having it approved as a wetlands agent approval, but that the Planning and Zoning Commission be notified that the wetlands were not delineated for the entire property, that only the southern half they were delineated, and that there may exist some other regulated areas in the northern half. I don't know how the rest of the commission feels about that.
Seems reasonable to me. I mean, would planning and zoning be the final approval that they would need, or would they have to come back to us?
No, the Planning and Zoning Commission makes their decision on the subdivision, whether it meets their standards or not.
Right.
And I don't know, I can't recall what their standards were regarding wetlands delineations. Don, maybe you know.
I think there's a provision that only based on if it's a very large lot and there's a limited amount of proposed activity, they typically grant some relief from having to do detailed mapping of the entire property to save unnecessary expense. I would note that, and I mean, the idea behind subdivision is, again, not to approve the final location of the house. That can still shift a little bit. And the extent of the house, the size of the house, that sort of thing gets shifted. This needs to demonstrate that the property in question has sufficient area, frontage, topography, and soil conditions to support the development of a single-family lot. It's really sort of a feasibility approval, frankly. And so should the applicant's son, who may ultimately take over this property and build something, choose to build the house somewhere other than where Dan has shown it, which again is sort of a feasibility study, then it would have to come back to, whatever entity for appropriate permitting. So if he chose to build it on the north side of the wetlands across that corridor where there's a road established or a path established, he may have to come back to wetlands for approval, depending. So
But how would we know, because the wetlands weren't delineated in the northern half?
Well, if they were building somewhere else, we would need that mapping for the new area. But if they're proposing to put it in the area that's already been mapped, wetlands flagged, and the A2 T2 is done, then we're set, because we know where the wetlands are in that vicinity, and we know that all activity is taking place at 75 to 100 feet away from that wetlands. But if they choose to go a different route, well, then we'll need more information.
Does he have to go back to planning and zoning to get the new house location approved?
Probably not.
So then what would cause him to come back to wetlands?
almost certainly not. Well, what would cause them to go back to wetlands would be myself as the wetlands agent and zoning officer when I look at the proposed site plan.
Well, assuming you're here.
Well, if I'm not here, then I would hope that the town has, replaced me with another entity rather than just abandoning the idea of application review entirely.
Yeah, because the northern half of this lot is not shown as a general wetlands identification. Only the lower half. The only time we get a bite into it is when the subdivision goes in and say, okay, delineate all the wetlands. That way we have documentation as to where all the wetlands, because those maps are filed on the land records. So if there are wetlands that exist in the northern half, any future property buyer would be put on notice based upon the map that's filed on the land records that shows the delineation of wetlands for the entire lot. That's why I'm suggesting that planning and zoning should probably ask for the northern half to be at least investigated. The soil scientists might come back and say, there's no wetlands there, there's no water course there. And if that's the case, then all well and good. But if there were wetlands up there, that should show up on the record drawing for the subdivision. See what I'm saying?
On behalf of the applicant, I have to disagree. I mean, again, you're talking about areas that are several hundred feet away from any proposed construction, which would be a big burden on my client to delineate all of 17 acres when we're proposing construction near the road, doesn't really seem necessary in my opinion.
Could you tell me what the cost of the delineation of the southern half was?
About $2,000.
Okay. So the northern half would have been probably about the same amount, right? $2,000?
I can't state that. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm just guessing it by the amount of size. It looks like the southern half was delineated, the northern half was not. It may or may not have wetlands on it at all. So, all right. How does the rest of the commission feel? I mean, I'm willing to go forward with the application as it stands, but I understand that there could be an intermittent water course that comes out of the north that doesn't show up as a delineation on these maps. And this is
if there's enough rationale to support that from another wetlands map, from the access map, any other flood zone, anything that indicates that? Nothing.
Nope, nothing other than the topography, and that's just suggestive. It's not definitive. There are a lot of places that have the appearance of having a potential channel flow, but unless you're there at the right time of the year, you don't see it. Intermittent water courses a lot of times may be subtended by wetland soils for small, narrow borders. But you wouldn't see that. Here it's discontinued. When you look at the map, if you go up, John, up the first map that you have, it makes it clear as though you see the wetlands, the delineation for the spring is right near where the driveway, the old log road crosses. That's where the spring is. And that's also where the V that comes out of the north comes to, right there. So I don't know. I don't know if there's wetlands.
You said it was Marley. You quoted wetlands flag 45, yeah.
He says 45, yes.
So that would have been right here.
At 45.
Yeah, right near the proposed property line.
Hold on a second.
This is 48, 47, 46, 45, 44, 43. So this would be 45 up here.
All right, hold on a second. 48, 40. Yeah, yep, you're right. You're right. So that's a totally different location,
right,
I think, than the V that comes out of the hill. Well, no, because that's a whole lot. That's not subdivided. So that could be close to the location of where that V enters into it. Near where the flag is, the green flag, just north of that
Mhm.
could be where the spring is.
Hmm.
See, north is to your left.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to like eyeball if this is.
So what the
Daniel,
width
this
is?
is, I don't know, maybe 150 feet of width right here. Or so.
Daniel, is that about 150 feet wide? The
Right in
the
here.
lot for the existing house?
I will tell you in a second. Let me get out my scale. Here we go. Yeah, about 100 feet wide.
Oh, that's different. That's much closer.
Sorry,
Okay.
what's much closer?
Dan,
Um,
I scaled out for 100 feet from the property line after the notch in the property, just to show about how far into the
where the spring might be. Yeah. Because it's right on the subdivision lot line.
Yeah, maybe 150 feet wide there.
Okay, so you got to
Yeah.
go 150 feet. You got to delete that.
150.
Yeah.
Come on.
Hmm.
$150 is right about there.
Yep, that looks right.
Yep. So that still doesn't take you to that V area. So, okay. It wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be influenced by any flow coming from the north necessarily, superficial flow. It would be more towards wetlands flags. What's that flag there next to the driveway?
That's 438.
38.
So
Yeah,
this is
it's like
37
38.
right here.
Yep, 38. And I don't have any problem with the house lot. I mean, I think that can be approved as a wetlands agent approval, but we still have to give some kind of notification to the Planning and Zoning Commission about what our position is on the subdivision. How does the rest of the commission feel about the northern half being delineated or not? Do you think this is okay?
I
What
think this
would
is
it-
okay.
What would it take to just make sure?
Couple $1,000.
How about a site visit?
No, because we don't delineate wetlands.
But if somebody were to go out there and see any sort of wetland species,
What do you mean someone?
Again, my client has no interest in building further back from the road. It would be additional cost and expense to construct the driveway. We tried to stay as far from the wetlands as possible and still make the septic system work. We have
but the point
no
is that
rationale to go further back and cross the wetlands.
the point is that we're using data that we're not sure of, and then some point down the road, maybe they would build back there.
What do you mean you're not sure of the data? Are you questioning Rick Zulik, the soil scientist? What do you mean you're not sure of the data? This is the
Well,
current proposal where my client wants to build.
There's a question about the delineation, isn't there?
No,
If the client had 100 acres and he wanted to build on 2, would you have him delineate 100 acres? I don't understand.
I can't elaborate on that. I'm just talking about what we have in front of us.
So
I
perhaps
would-
the thing to do. Go ahead, Mark.
I would propose just to, for, yeah, let's just, I just want to focus on approve, accepting slash approve. Yeah, so I don't think I need to worry about letting planning and zoning now. I mean, if 10 years down the road, if they decide somebody wants to build on that piece, well, then they got to come back to us and we'll have to, so I say whoa, I think that was just a thunderclap. So anyway, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
My,
it
my
was.
feel, my feeling is I would move that we approve application whatever the heck it is. I wrote it down here. 10-25-05 as a wetlands agent approval for on this particular lot.
I hear thunder at my house for what it's worth.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
heard,
It's
I heard that
here,
some
yeah.
too.
definitely thundering.
All right, we have
Mark,
Motion
can
by-
I,
Mark. Go ahead, Marla.
I'm not going to second it, other than if Mark would like to amend it to include a request to the Planning and Zoning Commission that a note be placed on the record drawing that the wetlands were not delineated for the northern half of the lot number 16A-1.
Yeah, I'm good with
Or-
that modification.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Just to put them on notice that that we're not requiring them to, that they're not going to be doing anything on the northern half. So I'm good with that
Does that-
proposed language approval. Yeah.
So that the language would be that you're approving this application as a wetlands agent approval with a notification being sent to the Planning and Zoning Commission that a note be placed on the record drawing that the northern portion of the property did not have the wetlands delineated.
Correct.
That makes sense.
I second
Yeah,
the
because, yeah, I would second it as well.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
let you second it too. Sorry.
Okay, we have a motion by Mark Parker, seconded by Stuart Peasley to process the application 10-25-05 for 306 Green Road for Donald Amy map 5703, block 04, lot 16A, process of wetlands agent approval with the stipulation that a note goes in the record that the northern portion was not delineated for wetlands.
That is a report be sent to the Planning and Zoning Commission requesting
Yeah,
a note be placed on the record drawing that the northern half was wetlands were not, northern half was not delineated for wetlands.
okay. So any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you for your time, everyone. Have a good evening.
Yep,
thanks,
thank you.
Dan.
You have a good evening too.
Take care.
Okay, application 10-25-07, 0 Hiawatha Heights, map 7272, block 43, lot 0D1, Raymond Priest, shoreline block wall.
Ray, you want to speak?
Yes, what I'm proposing is a dry stacking block wall, less than 18 inches. It's almost not needed. It's a small step. But That's what my proposal is. Along the Yeah, I get a picture of the block there. That's the picture you see now. It is the block right there, the decorative front block. I'm going to stagger it back. I'm going to be two, possibly 3 blocks high, which would be 18 inches or less. That from the grass to the ground is probably about 12 inches.
That, Bill Rowinski, that particular block, will break, will freeze, crack. If it's filled with dirt or water gets in there. So a lot of these blocks that they use are solid and not have the holes in them.
Won't be in the water in the wintertime.
But if
Yeah, but
it
will it
gets
be in
dirt
water
in it,
during normal?
During the season, it'll be up to the blocks. Right now, there's no activity in the water. When you lower the lake, there's no water touching these blocks. I'm going to fill
So
behind the blocks.
Are the blocks located beyond the high water mark for the lake? The high water mark is where the normal summertime water.
Yes, when the high water mark, the blocks will be in the water. Yes.
Okay. Have you received approval from the Lake Association
They're
to
waiting
do
on
work on
approval.
this property?
Yes. I talked to Kelly. We're waiting on approval from you, and she has the plan. She has. I basically have approval as long as I get approval from the town of Woodstock first.
Do you have a drawing of the location of this wall, the extent of the wall?
Yeah, if you
How
scroll,
long it is?
if you scroll down a little bit, yeah, right there, very front where the 48 feet is. It's only actually gonna be about 40 feet. I'm not going. It'll be at least 30 feet, probably around 40 feet length. And like I say, it's only gonna be 12 to 18 inches tall. I'm gonna stack the blocks by hand, no machinery, no equipment. I'm gonna backfill it with a shovel because it's so little. Crushed stone and bank run gravel. And if you want, I will pin it and stuff, but it's not going to go anywhere. It's not very big. You can actually step down off the ground. I call it a wall because I'm stacking 2 blocks, but it's barely considered a wall in my opinion.
Well, Ray, I'm looking at your application, the application form that you filled out. It doesn't say anything about the height of the wall, the length of the wall. It just says, you have purpose of the activity. There's no narrative about what you just described verbally. And we usually have that all in writing so that when later on down the road, someone has to look, they can actually see it on paper, because these recordings aren't necessarily kept forever.
Yeah,
but the
I can write it
paperwork.
in there. Yeah, it's not a problem. I'd say it's going to be 18 inches or less, to be between 30 and 40 feet long. I can add that to the application.
Yeah, that's what we would recommend.
Yeah, no problem.
Put it all down in writing, steps, what you're gonna fill with, and if you, decide you want to use rebar, or, down through the center pieces to hold them in, whatever you decide, yeah. Just write it all down.
I'm going to do it right. Obviously, I'm not going to do this again for 50 years, whatever. And it's just a small area. I'm not going to, cut corners and that stuff. And block that I'm using will definitely work for this application.
Well, I would feel better. This is because it's work actually at the water's edge and in the actual lake bottom itself. Because you were saying that during the normal high water, the water would be lapping up against this wall or retaining wall, even though it's only 2 or 3 feet high.
Excuse me.
Even though it's only 3 feet high, I would feel much better if I had a diagram showing the location. You can
Well,
use map, the GIS mapping that they have. You've seen some of that tonight.
If
Did
you
see
scroll
any of it
down,
tonight?
right, if you scroll down, you'll see the map. Surveyor's map. I can do a GIS map. It shows the same thing.
That looks like a property
There.
map. That looks like the
Right.
actual subdivision map for the lots.
Right. You see where the 48 feet across is? That's where the wall is
Mhm.
going. I can put arrows there if you want. I can put it on a GIS map, whatever.
Yeah, and
Very-
give a
very
written
small.
description of what it is. Because
Yeah.
you really don't have a description.
Ray,
So
whoops, I just have a question, Marla, for Ray. Ray, this is Kathy Barrick. Is there a reason why you're putting these blocks at that end? The 48 feet on the end of that block, the D1, and not down the side? Because
Well-
that 118 is also in the water.
Yeah, that may come later. But the erosion is as you have your wall right in the side of mine to protect it from the banking from going into the. So I'm doing the same thing. Eventually, I'll come back and do a. But on the side that side there, the left hand side, it's almost gradual into the water. Very little erosion. There's no reason to put a wall there, but I would consider it down the road. This time here, I just want to protect the very front of the property.
Okay. Is that section eroding into the lake? I mean, is there dirt that's being pulled into the lake
Well,
or?
Well, there's two trees that will probably end up falling into the lake eventually. Someday they're gonna, because it's right on the edge there. Putting this wall there, backfilling with bank run gravel, crushed stone, it'll maintain the integrity of the waterfront there. And like I say, it's not in the water right now. The water comes up to it. You can see where the grass is and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
You
it
can see where
washes
those-
up against underneath and actually
Yeah.
cuts under that
Right.
top layer of grass, and eventually that collapses and that gets washed away and
Right, where those little
which is-
stones are, is where I'm gonna put the blocks, and behind it is where it's getting undercut. Talking probably 6 inches of water, but still, it's that 6 inches of water is enough to undercut the ground. That's what I'm trying to stop.
So, did you hear our prior discussion regarding Mr. Napolitano's wall? And,
Yes,
okay,
the difference is I'm putting up 2 blocks compared to a 3-4 foot wall. I'm putting up a 12-inch wall, 12 to 18 inches. And I'll come to the office tomorrow and write that on the application, the height, length, the width, and all that stuff.
so the same concerns would be whether or not the wall would remain stable or not, if it would get undercut by wave action, what's the footing going to be, what are going to be the forces that are going to hit it? Would you ever consider an alternative of just placing a riprap stone along that
Yeah,
shoreline?
yeah.
to stop it from eroding?
I mean, there's stone there now. It's just dumped on the ground there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
I just think-
augmented.
all right, it's such a small area. The block to me would look nicer, I think. Pretty much a straight shot. I'm putting a row of blocks. I'm gonna step it back another row, and I'm done.
do you have a plan, Ray, to put this down into the lake bed? I mean, usually I see at least that there's something that takes, there's a certain number of inches that you go down into the lake bed, which helps to stabilize the wall.
Yeah,
I didn't see that on the map,
Yes.
but the map kind of zipped by in a hurry, so,
It doesn't show on the map, on the application.
okay.
No, there are no details about the wall on the application, either its length or its height or
Yeah,
the
yeah,
method
well,
of
that's
construction.
a little bit disconcerting.
well, I thought I'd be there in person when I put the application in, So I was planning on filling out, I got another application here to add to it, because this is my first time going before you, now I know what you expect, and, it's, talked to John, it's a pretty small project, it's a very, basic. I have no problem adding whatever you want on the application.
So to avoid you having to have an engineer take a look at it and come up with a design for you to make sure that it would stay stable, an alternative would be to use stone to augment and stabilize the wave action where the cut is with stone, supplement the stone that's already there. That's less problematic than a wall, even though it's only a couple of blocks high, because we don't know how long it will remain stable. And you're not that far from the dam.
Right.
Correct. Yep. So
We're just receiving the application tonight. So I would move to accept the application. Where am I? 10-25-070 Hiawatha Heights by Raymond Priest for a shoreline block wall with a request that Mr. Priest return with further details on the construction and alternatives considered for the block wall.
Written details.
Written
Can I do
details,
that?
excuse me.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Can I do that with the wetlands officer? Can I work with him on this?
You can work with him, but it's gonna have to come before the agency on December.
Yeah.
Well, how
I'm,
come-
I'm,
meeting.
I'm not doing any designs for you, Ray.
I'm not asking you to, John, I'm not asking you to do any designs.
Okay, I just
I-
want to make sure what we're asking here.
Oh, yeah, no, the thing is, they want me to, complete the application as far as the length and the width.
Yeah.
They want to know a little more details, I have no problem doing that.
Okay.
Some of the other applicants had the opportunity to deal with you, so they don't have to wait another month, because I like it's just done, at least started before the ground freezes and stuff, and before next spring. The other applications that, applicants had the ability to deal with you, get it done right. Now, I gotta wait another month before I start, that's all I'm asking. And, you know, a lot of walls on that lake, and everybody else seemed to have, were able to do it. And my wall is probably gonna be the smallest one in the whole lake. My concern was.
well, Ray, the
Well-
other thing, I mean, you're right. I live right next door. And I've seen a lot of what goes on there, and your property and ours make like a cove around that part of the lake. When we first bought here 20-something years ago, there were giant boulders all along the edge of our lot, and the dirt kept washing through them, and we decided we needed something to control that. So we had a young man who came in and drew out for us what he was going to do. Now, this was 20-something years ago. And he went ahead and did that with blocks, with natural stone, piled out, made out in a very nice, look like a wall made out of stone. And that lasted 2 years. And we wished through this whole thing that we had had some professional help with this. And finally, the third person that came and did the wall had all kinds of measurements and those scopes that you look through, and people coming and measuring stuff and all. I don't know exactly what they were doing, but I mean, the wall that we have there now has stood for 18 years, hasn't moved a thing. And I think you've got the same problem we do, is that when there's a boat that comes around there, the waves wash into that cove and it comes up against our wall. And obviously it's coming up against yours as well. Now, your property is a little bit lower than ours, but not much.
Yes.
And I just wonder if this is just a thought, like I said, from my own history, but if maybe you're trying to control this and it's not going to last very long and you're going to end up having to go back and do something about it in the future. So
Right.
I don't feel, I mean, I'm certainly not as qualified or as up to date or in tune with all of this stuff as Marla and Bill and John and everybody else that's here. But my suggestion would be that you look at it a little more seriously than just a little short piece of shoreline with some concrete blocks. I'm not saying that it's not going to work, but I'm just not all that confident that it is. And I'm sorry, that's maybe more than I should have said, but I don't see you around here enough to tell you face to face. So, you know,
So just to clarify, Ray, the John Napolitano's wall that he wanted to put right on the lake, we are not, we're tabling that and telling him he's got to get an engineer to do the design work for that. The other wall that was reconstructed, a retaining wall, which was at 55 Crooked Trail, was not in the water. It was up on the lot. And we said that the property, they couldn't do the work that they wanted to do right next to the lake. They had to come in with another application, that they were going to have to wait on that because they didn't have good detail on good information. So I think the same thing would probably be coming to you, is that you may want to consider having an engineer take a look at this for you to come up with a wall that's going to work and stay stable.
I've already got a guy that's probably repaired Kathy's wall years ago. Has built quite a few walls on Witches Woods, on Lake Bungie, and the guy's very well. That's what he does. He repairs walls, stone walls, block walls. He's the one that's helping me do this. I'm not doing this fly by
that's not
night or
Mr.
whatever.
Taylor. Ray, that's not Mr. Taylor.
His name's Ron. Guys, Ron's the one that's helping me do it. He's the one that's built up. He's done a lot.
I don't know.
He's done a
him.
lot of walls. He's done a lot of walls in Woodstock and other areas. He knows what he's doing. He's coming out with me to look at he's already been out there twice and stuff. So it's not, it's not me just stacking 2 blocks up, and I'm being nonchalant about it, because it's, according to Ron, it's not a big deal. It's not a 3-foot wall. It's not 200 feet long. It's not even in the water right now. The water does come up to it. He's already told me about the water freezing and thawing out, break the blocks. This won't happen the way we're doing this. It's not going to happen. He knows what he's doing. I'm hiring him to build the wall for me, but I need to get the approval first.
Well, we don't have enough information on the design of the wall, and the concern is that whatever you do come up with, we're not sure whether or not it'll remain stable for any period of time.
Yeah. Oh,
so and we don't know. I don't know who you're thinking of hiring to do the work and come up. But we've had other people come before us with walls, and they've actually had the company that's doing the wall draw the drawings.
Yeah.
And you don't have any drawings showing what it is that you really want to do.
Right. Well, I thought the picture of the block, the map, what I gave you, that's fine. I will meet with the wetlands agent when he's available. I'll give you a full detailed description and stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I just want to be able to enjoy the lakefront like everybody else is able in Woodstock.
Well, unfortunately, Ray, that's one of the downsides of living on a lake, is that there are really strict rules about it because water is so important. I mean, the water actually belongs to the state of Connecticut. So, we're all kind of stuck with that.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just trying to protect the integrity of the lake and in the land. That's my
Did
plan.
the fellow that you were talking to, did he give you any did he talk to you at all about, putting it down a certain far distance into the
Oh,
lake?
yeah.
Or-
Oh, yeah. No, he's got it all. We're doing it by hand. We don't need any backhoes or machinery and stuff. But yeah, we're gonna dig down. We're gonna put a base. We're gonna put, we're doing this on dry land. It's not in the water, so it's very easy to do.
Well, do
We
you
are
think
gonna.
that, is he qualified to make these kind of drawings and I mean, is that what he is? Is he?
He's a wall builder. Is he a licensed engineer? Like, no, probably not. I doubt if I doubt if he's a what do you call it, a civil engineer and like that. But he's a guy that's been doing his whole life. He's the one that actually does the work.
Yeah.
But
And
he
he's
can help
the
me.
one.
He can help me do. I can do the drawings up. I see what other people do for drawings. I can do that myself, with his guidance, and I'll have him put, whatever you guys want. But the problem is, I only see you once a month. So if I give you an application, I got to wait till December to find out if that's enough information. That's why I
Yeah.
would like to be able to work with somebody. So I'll give you 45 pages of stuff, but I need to know what you're actually looking for. I understand now you want a drawing of the wall, so I can do that, no problem. You want the length and the height, which is not a problem.
Yeah.
Like I say, originally I thought it was gonna be in person. I was gonna give you the application, 18 inches or 12 inches by 30 feet, but it didn't happen.
Sorry about that.
Stu, do you want to weigh in on this? Because you were the one who was concerned
Yeah,
about the.
I mean, the thing is if you're doing this like for your own house, I get it. DIY is a very gratifying experience, and it's simple, and why does anybody worry about it? But it's not just your own house. You're living on a lake. There's a community there. It's a water source, a water body that will have consequences if what you do is not adequate. So given that you don't do this for a living, you're totally competent, you're relying on yourself, you're self-reliant, that's a thing of beauty. But you're in a community, and you're in a larger natural community. And so what you're doing will definitely have an impact if what your judgment doesn't produce is really good. So what we're suggesting that would be giving you peace of mind for the rest of your days there in that place is that you get some professional help. And somebody will say, yeah, your blocks are good, but you'll be lucky to get 3 to 5 years out of them. If, in fact, we get some really, really cold weather or, harsh conditions, then you'll be lucky to get 3 years out of it. And I'll admit this happens to me too. I put a concrete cap on my chimney, and just a couple of years ago, and I went and looked at it to clean my chimney, and I said, why is that rotten? So it's not rotten, but it's decaying very fast. So there was something in the mixture that I did wrong. I've got to do it again. It's only 2 years old. Same on me. I did it. I didn't hire a pro. So it happens to all of us. And what we're suggesting is not to make your life miserable and hard, but just so that you have peace of mind. That's a long way of saying just get peace of mind.
I would like to make a comment that this property is vacant. It does not have a house on it, residence on it. So it could not be covered under maintenance and enjoyment of residential home because there's no residential home on it. And that makes it a requirement to have to go through an application process because it's actually in the water and there is no residential home there. It's a vacant lot.
My opinion, Ray, is that the way you're going about it is not going to be as successful as you envision it, perhaps. So that's what I'm just giving you my 2 cents.
I think that's a good 2 cents because I've seen it right in that next door, so.
Anyways, I'll move to accept application 10-25-0700 Hiawatha Heights, map 7272, block 34, lot 0D1, for processing for next month, with the request that additional information regarding the wall, location, and design be provided.
Second motion. Stuart Peasley.
Okay. Do we have a motion by Marla Butt, seconded by Stuart Peasley to accept application 10-25-070 Hiawatha Heights for consideration at the December meeting, with requesting additional details to the wall construction. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Okay, the motion passes. So thank you, Ray, but we need some more information. Okay, we're moving on now to application 10-25-08 294 Route 198, map 5789, block 29, lots 13 and 14, Noreen Stellick for timber harvest.
Ooh, that's a lot of timber.
I don't think we've got anybody here on behalf of the applicant.
Okay, it looks from the maps pretty straightforward. One landing sort of near the road between the pond and the house. And no harvester determined yet.
It's not Hull.
And this looks
They're
like,
not this,
Yeah, it looks like Hull
Hull-
filled out the application.
they're the forester, but they're not the harvester.
no,
have-
Hull Forest is,
Oh,
They,
okay.
oh, they hire out crews to do the harvesting.
Okay.
Harvester, oh yeah, to be determined, right?
101,000 cord feet, 126 cords. One thing I had a question about would be where the landing is from the road. Where is the yard gonna be for the process of materials handling? Just it's a logistical issue. It's really not in our purview, but it doesn't show on the map.
is
But
that,
that's a lot of material coming in and going. And
is that where the red star is, Stuart? Is that, what, you're calling it a landing? Is that like a storage place for?
that's where all the logs are dragged out to and bucked up and
Okay,
loaded onto trucks.
That's
Cut the
red,
length.
the red star.
Yeah. But it looks like the yellow line is where it's just coming out of driveway.
looks like.
I think there's a driveway on that side there.
There
already.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you're using the same driveway or if it's another one gonna be made. That's some heavy loads for that driveway, that's all.
Well, the color says access road.
Right into there. And what's a skid trail?
That's where the machines take the logs in and out.
Oh, like, okay, like a temporary
Yeah,
logging road. Okay.
Yeah.
The the details on this page 2. Stone will be added as needed on the access road to create proper access.
So they're identifying removal of trees and wetlands, but then they don't identify where those wetlands are. So if you use the GIS map, you'll see that wetlands are suggested as being throughout the central portion of the property.
Whoa.
There's a
Okay.
lot.
A lot. And, but they say that they're just pre-salvage of hemlock and ash and the removal of unhealthy, diseased, poorly formed individuals. It's not a clear cut, but they do identify in the application that they're removing trees in wetlands and in the upland review area. They don't say there's any temporary stream crossings or temporary wetlands crossings. And I don't believe there, based upon what I'm seeing from topography, that there could potentially be any water courses. If you turn on the topography, you might be able to get an idea as to whether or not there's a potential for a water flow. See, it's a hillside. So the water that's coming down is probably, you know, there might be a hard pan there, which is causing the wetness feature. I'm not sure. But when you looked at this, I didn't have as much of a concern about it because I didn't see any water courses from the topography. The lot is not that one. It's that one. That's the lot. That's the majority of the property. So you don't see any water courses. You don't see any channels coming down off that hill. But there could be seeps. There could be, you know, little wetlands pockets that could exist because of hard pan. Hard pan just causes the water, the groundwater to come to the surface, can't get absorbed into the hillside. So, but I don't see this as being a problem, to be honest with you. If there was a water course that was there or an indication from the topography that there was a water course, then I might have a little more concern. But I don't see anything in the topography which would indicate a problem.
We did go out there about 3 or 4 years ago, just because the owner was interested in cleaning up that little pond right by 198.
Yep. Oh, is that the one that we were looking at?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, now I remember it. Yep. They wanted to get rid of the Phragmites.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Could you turn the topography back on? And scroll. All right, scroll in. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so there's clearly wetlands to the northeast of the harvest area. Based upon what I could see from when you scrolled in a little tighter, just north of the pond.
Somewhere along
Yeah,
the
see
way, that pond was described as probably an NRCS bank pond.
Yep. But I still don't see anything that would indicate that there's a water course coming down off that hill.
I haven't seen any.
No. I don't have any objection in approving this.
No, I think it's pretty straightforward.
I move to approve application 10-25-08 for route number 294, Route 198, and the adjoining lot, lot map 5789, block 29, lots 13 and 14, be approved as a use permitted as of right for a timber harvest under agriculture.
Second.
Okay, we have Motion by Marla Butts, second by Stuart Peasley to approve as use permitted as a right for timber harvest for agriculture, application 10-25-08. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. All right, the last one for new applications. Application 10-25-09 Crooked Trail Extension, Robert and Lisa Andrews regrading along shoreline. Now, this looks like some fairly extensive work.
What's the,
Here, it
what's the area? How big of square footage?
I don't believe they're showing that. And it's the same thing here. We do not have any details on the wall other than stones from steps repurposed to line the water's edge. Looks like it's involves some terracing, some transitional areas between the terrace.
So we need to really see what a section is, what the what elevation differential is. And the dimensions, so we can get square foot area takeoff.
Looks
If I
like
could
it.
if John could screen share the GIS location for this property and turn on the topography.
Do you not see that?
Yeah. Where did I go? Where's my zone? There you go. Okay. Could you turn off the wetlands map?
These,
You can.
I forget, are these
you can
2 foot or
see
5 foot contours?
These are 2 foot.
2 foot.
These are 2 foot. So you can see the property is already kind of started to be terraced. And it looks like it was manipulated, even though the suggestive soils say that it's all wetlands. I doubt that there's wetlands going up that slope anymore, other than on the neighboring property. Looks like there's a water course coming down or a drainage way coming down the road. But the work in the water is problematic because I can't tell exactly what they're doing there. They talk about stones, but they don't have any details as to what they're really doing. I don't have any problem with the building of the terraces and the walls that they said they wanted to do. But I do have a problem with whatever they're doing along the lake's edge. It says stone from
Steps
From-
repurposed to line the water's edge.
This,
yeah.
the diagram that was submitted with the application says it's gonna be all sand, right? I see a big yellow sand area.
That's the lowest
that's-
terrace.
That's the
the
lowest
whole
terrace,
beach
and then
area.
stones along the shore.
Oh, I see, okay.
So once they put the stones in the water, they need to have approval of the Lake Association. Do we have anything from the Lake Association saying it's okay?
I didn't see anything.
Probably not.
So if we were going to approve anything, it could only be the work that's in the upland review area and not approve the work on the lake's edge. So there's nobody here to talk to us about it.
I don't believe so.
So
I have a feeling that a lot of these people that bring these hand-drawn drawings have no idea how involved or how complicated this is or the legality of it all. And I'm sure that's what these guys are thinking too, hey, we're just gonna put in some steps and some terraces, no problem, no big deal, and
Well, the terraces and the steps and the retaining walls that are on the upland area, that's not a real concern to me. For them, it should be a concern. But the work that's at the water's edge and right next to the water, that is of a concern. So, I don't have a problem with the work in the upland review area, but I also don't see erosion and sediment controls. Do they say that they're going to use silt fencing for protection?
doesn't say filter fabric, but that's for the riprap to go on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
see any detail for erosion control.
Yeah, so I think we should be tabling this one and telling them they've got to come back. They should be here for the meeting so we can ask them questions, but they need to have erosion and sediment control, and they need to have better detail about what they're doing along the water course itself. Maybe provide some pictures of the stones that they're going to use. Provide some indication as to what the height of that is going to be. I can't tell from the drawing exactly what they're doing along the water's edge. So we need better detail about what they're doing along the water's edge and some kind of reference from the Lake Association that as owner of the property in the water, that they are acceptable to this.
Good idea.
For future reference, one person tonight said that the Lake Association was waiting for our approval. But in the past, we've actually, like on Bungie, we've actually gotten a copy of an email from the Lake Association saying it's okay with them because they're the property owner of the lake bottom. And the same thing should go for these, that we should have those up front from the Lake Association saying they're okay with doing work on their property. That's for your reference.
There should be a standard protocol
because otherwise otherwise we're approving work on somebody else's property that is
right.
Don't have permission for it.
Right. So they should get it from the Lake Associations first before they come to us.
So it's a process issue.
Right. So I move to table application 10-2509, 83 Cricket Trail Extension, map 7272, block 34, lot 195W, for Robert and Lisa Andrews for regrading along the shoreline, with a request that John contact the applicants to indicate that we need additional detail regarding the work along the shoreline and an approval notification from the Lake Association stating they have no objection to such work.
Second, Stuart Peasley.
Okay, motion by Marla Butts, second by Stuart Peasley to table application 10-25-09 for 83 Crooked Trail Extension for Robert and Lisa Andrews. I will not repeat the details that can be from the recording. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? So the motion passes to table this. Okay, it's getting late, but John, can you give us some updates on administrative business?
Sure. So, well, I put my agent report in there. There's nothing particularly earth-shattering in there. I recapped a little bit about some of what Marla had mentioned previously about the date of receipt for the I think was it Ann Ambert, the subdivision, the new single-family house on Center and Route 169. So I think we've cleared up the question of date of receipt on that, and you guys, I think, appropriately place it in the category of agent approval so they can proceed without having to come to another meeting. We do have the public hearing on the activity on Quarry Road, the Brian Sheldon clearing, grading stuff on his property on Quarry Road. That's happening on Thursday at Planning and Zoning, if anyone's interested in participating. I also did get a call today, I'm sorry, an email from, and I'm going to stop my share just quickly so I can make sure I'm getting this name right. This was Elizabeth Murphy, who is one of the folks who helps manage Crystal Pond Park, which is, you know, jointly owned by the towns of Eastford and Woodstock. She had a question about permitting for removing some phragmites along the water's edge when the water level drops later in the fall. And she was talking about removing it essentially by hand and, you know, like spades. I wasn't sure where that fell, and because it's going to be in the water, it's going to be, you know, water side of the high water mark. If that needs a full wetlands approval, or if that's, you know, appropriate maintenance and removal of invasives.
Typically, those have come in as uses permitted, non-regulated uses, jurisdictional ruling for non-regulated use for conservation of soil and water.
Okay.
So it would be a declaratory ruling request, which can't be done until next meeting anyways. And I doubt that the water body will be frozen by then. I'm sure they're going to have to get volunteers to do that. That's not something that's going to be fun, particularly in the cold.
Hardy folks.
And they should have a diagram. There, you'll find in the files there was an application back about a year and a half ago for the guy who was over near on Roseland Park, who came in, young man came in and was cleaning up phragmites. That would be a typical kind of application. I can't remember what the name of it is.
Senkowski, Philip Senkowski, I believe.
Okay.
On Senexit Road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Not too far from Mexico.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, the first name, Senkowski, is the last name.
All right. I'll track it down. Okay.
Yep.
I'll advise her appropriately. And that's all I've got. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer a question.
That was something.
So John, I think we talked about budgeting in a previous meeting. I just want to be clear whether you have submitted anything on our behalf, because I got an email from Karen Fitzpatrick last week looking for specifics for budgeting. Looks like you're saying no.
No, I haven't submitted anything for budgeting. I'm not sure what you.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that. I didn't see an email from Karen about it.
Yeah, we got to have
Okay.
by December 1st. And it cannot just say same as last year.
Yeah.
It's got to
for
have a detailed breakdown of what our expenses are.
and what we plan to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
She did ask me about my contract rates and how that would affect the 3 commissions, and I frankly said, so I bill the town a flat rate to cover planning, zoning, and wetlands. I don't know how it breaks out in the town budget, and frankly, I'm not particularly concerned. But I said, you know, in the next fiscal year, we're holding our rates flat, so whatever allocation is to wetlands should remain just as it is. But that was my only.
So that's not in our budget. That's in the selectmen's budget. So all the staff money come out of the selectmen's office. So all that we have is supplies, materials, travel, publications, of notices. Yeah. It's pretty simple.
Marla, would you mind if I contacted you about putting this package together I mean, there's not
Sure.
much to it, but just to go, we can go
I'll be
through
happy to do it unless there's somebody else who wants this job.
it.
Mark, you're pretty good at that. You've done this a number of times. He doesn't respond.
Yep. Well, I'll forward you the,
All
I'll
right.
forward you the email, about that and what they're looking for specifically. All right,
All
so
right.
then we had a couple more forms to add. The request to modify wetlands permit and request to transfer inland wetlands permit. So Marla, were these forms that were drafted or were they approved?
I don't recall, but I noticed that Dan Malo had put one of them up, but not the other, on the town's webpage. If you go to our webpage and look under applications, applications and forms, you'll see there a permit transfer application form. Now, I had worked out the language with Dan on both of these forms. One of them got put up and has been made into a fillable form by Crystal Adams. But apparently he didn't put up the modification. And so since neither of these, I don't recall if they had come to the commission ahead of time, whether Dan just put them up because I had suggested we needed these forms and he put them up. I think going through them and saying whether or not we're going to accept them as forms for the commission would be appropriate. I think the permit transfer form, if we start with that one first, which is the one that's already up there, is pretty straightforward. It asks for what the permit is, who owns it, and who wants to get it. And it gives a release to enter onto the property for proper inspections. Now, typically, permit transfers and or extensions can, I believe, be dependent upon whether there's been changes, such as if there has been enforcement actions. There's a couple of criteria that it's not an automatic thing that you get to transfer or modify a permit. So I think these forms will work just fine, but we have to remember we have to go through the process of saying, like, has the like with academies, Woodstock Academy's parking lot, one of the questions that Kathy asked last month was, has there been any changes? Well, the question is, has there been any changes in the environment that warrant not allowing allowing an extension? Or have there been enforcement actions that would have, predicated something? Or has there been a condition, a change in the environment that would have said, no, you don't want to give an extension? Technically, they're entitled to up to 5 for a permit extension. And I'm suggesting that be covered under the permit modification form. If you go to the permit modification, do you want to take one at a time? Because I do think you need to approve them.
Well, here's the thing,
something.
it's 9:47 and, it's fairly late. I don't know how much time you want to spend on them or think we should spend on them, or whether you want to table it to another time or.
I'm going to suggest that maybe we have a special meeting that just in person that just deals with the application forms.
I agree. I was just gonna say.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got Thanksgiving coming up this coming month. So and then we get Christmas the following. So if we're going to do it, we probably are going to, I don't know if we're looking at doing it in December or if we're looking at doing it in January. And then we start getting into snowstorms and that. So what do you think? But I do think it should be done as an in-person separate meeting. Because Stu brought up a alternative to the standard application form, and I think we really should go over those in the compare and contrast and see what you really want.
Yeah, we can make ours better.
Can I make a suggestion? Something that I have seen work fairly well in other situations. If the demand is, or the, whatever it is that's asking to be approved is passed out to everybody ahead of time, and the request is made that everybody look at it and make notes, make circles, whatever, so that we're not thinking about some of the basic stuff that we can,
Yeah.
there's sometimes you just look at it and you say, yeah, Stuart had that suggestion, or Mark had some other suggestion, or whatever. And, it moves it along a little faster. So,
What I want to do, what I want to suggest, I'm just thinking out loud, sorry for interrupting, but I want to go back and tune up that permitting guide, because it has some of the drawings that we're talking to people about tonight, has section details and just say, or, something better than a kitchen napkin for a sketch, and showing us where north is, and just so that they know, hey, this is kind of a guideline for what you should be putting together.
that's a great idea. I didn't realize we had one of those.
Yeah, I think it's up on the EDC webpage.
Okay.
It might be on
So-
somebody else's too. I don't know. But
I'm
I
gonna
will say,
suggest that I was just going to suggest that we delay this till January.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, because typically we don't get lots of applications in November and December. We'll start getting them when the spring starts to come and the land people start to look about construction and stuff. So
Okay.
I'm thinking if we do this in January sometime, and we can chew it down then. And if we have a snowstorm, we can always cancel. It'll have to be a special meeting. And we have to come up with the meeting list, the meeting schedule for next year. I think that has to go to the town clerk, usually beginning of December, if I recall, because she has to get it to the Secretary of State by January 1. So we don't have that yet. So next meeting, we have to come up with a suggested listing for meeting dates for.
oh yeah,
I can come up with that if you want, because John is pretty well booked with a lot of the stuff that he's got. I can come up with that and send that out to everyone for.
If you're just talking about proposing the first Monday again, Tracy can put that together.
Yeah, but sometimes we've had to adjust them because of holidays. And so then we usually.
I think she's capable of detecting holidays.
And if if you send it to us, we can always change it. So
Let's let Tracy do it for us.
good idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as, okay, that's fine. I got enough stuff to do. So,
Yes.
so what was I gonna say? I can't remember.
See,
You're right, it's
everybody's so
getting
sleepy.
Yeah.
my pillow's
We did a
calling
lot
me.
tonight.
My pillow.
All right, so, well, next month, we'll decide on a meeting date, a special meeting date for sometime in January to discuss application forms, okay?
Yep.
Do you do an annual election of chairman as well?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
The bylaws require us to do it, I think, at the February meeting.
Oh, February. Okay.
February,
All
I
right.
believe.
A lot of commissions do schedule and elections all at once. So okay, February is fine.
Ours is set forth in the bylaws, and we have to review our bylaws for any changes at that time. So I'll check the bylaws, but I think it's February.
Maybe we could get all of it done at the special meeting.
No way.
No, come on, Stuart.
A couple of special meetings, maybe.
Let's think positive.
All right. Is
I don't think
there
we
any,
Just a realist.
I don't think there's any citizens online, so I would move to adjourn.
I second that motion.
any objections? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Mark,
Aye.
wake up.
Hi.
I'm